Gauteng High Court, Johannesburg, for reasons Okah says he is yet to fathom, wrote that the Nigerian government had done its utmost to assist me in obtaining the presence in court of my witnesses, and it was I who rejected all such offers of assistance. The South African Constitutional Court would later rely on this falsehood to dismiss his 2018 appeal, he said. It was unclear at the outset what South Africa aimed to achieve by Okah's trial. On the surface, it appeared as though driven by altruism, a moral abhorrence for acts of terrorism, and a spirit of fraternal relations given the support lent to the ruling African National Congress, ANC, in its fight against apartheid, the Church Street bombing. It is noteworthy that the ANC had used methods such as MENS in its fight against the racist minority regime, a fact that dents its moral posturing. On May 20th, 1983, Umkhonto we Sizwe MK, the armed wing of the ANC, led at various times by Joe Slovo, Chris Hani, and former President Jacob Zuma, set off a car bomb outside the headquarters of the South African Air Force on Church Street, Pretoria. The blast killed 19 people, 11 of whom were said to be military personnel and the rest innocent bystanders and civilians on a busy street. The attack was said to have been authorized by Oliver Tambo, who at the time was the ANC president. Discussing the incident in his autobiography, Nelson Mandela said it illustrated the reason why taking up arms was a very difficult choice. At the Truth and Reconciliation Commission hearings in 1997 to 1998, 10 MK operatives, including Abu Bakr Ismail, the commander of the group that carried out the bombing, applied for amnesty, which was granted. Even more recently, after the Palestinian militant group Hamas carried out the October 7th, 2023 attacks on Israel that sparked a brutal military response, the ANC-led government spoke up in defense of Hamas and the Palestinians. The Cyril Ramaphosa-led government went on to file complaints of genocide against Israel at the ICC at The Hague in the Netherlands, for which warrants of arrest have been issued against Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu and other senior members of his government, as well as Hamas leaders. For the Niger Delta, South Africa has taken a different pro-government tack, despite the region being in the news for decades on account of oil production by a partnership of the government and oil majors that turned the oil region into the most polluted place on earth, creating a rolling insurgency by its disgruntled ethnic minorities. Indeed, the Niger Delta was the reason relations between South Africa and Nigeria went sour in 1995 after then-President Mandela had criticized Nigerian dictator General Sani Abacha for the execution of 9 Ogoni rights activists, including the writer Ken Saro-Wiwa, that campaigned against environmental damage caused by the oil companies. Before then, there had been several military and police massacres, such as that on the village of Umuechem in Rivers State in 1993, carried out in reprisal against a protest against the Shell plc. Lieutenant Colonel Paul Okuntimo, a military commander deployed to the Ogoni areas in the 1990s, once recalled early morning attacks that commenced with lobbing a few hand grenades at sleepy villagers, then mowing them down with machine guns and assault rifles as they fled the mayhem in their pajamas and underwear. South Africa couldn't have been unaware of the Nigerian military's invasion of the town of Odi in November 1999, when an entire town in the Niger Delta was destroyed by troops in a reprisal attack after an armed group killed 12 policemen in an ambush. It was largely in response to such scorched earth military tactics that a full-blown insurgency developed in Nigeria's oil region by 2005, though troops have for the past 3 decades continuously been stationed in the region. For the South African judiciary to find that there was no struggle for self-determination and against oppression and injustice in the Niger Delta region of Nigeria was a deliberate subjective choice, which could be the result of a conservative South African bench, the remaining vestiges of an apartheid era still beholden to laws protecting private property, One of the charges for which Okah was convicted stemmed from a threat by MEND to target South African investments in Nigeria following his arrest. Justice Claassen, as the sentencing ruling shows, struggled with the political nature of the crime. The accused, however, has not accepted responsibility for any of the crimes committed, nor has he shown remorse, the judge wrote. There was, however, evidence before this court that he is regarded as a leader in Nigeria and in particular in the Niger Delta. Claassen also noted that militancy in the Niger Delta was caused by the failure of the government to adequately promote the interests of the community in that area, and the accused became the leader of this struggle. While acknowledging that a militant political struggle could lead to bloodshed and tragedy, it only got him to spare Okah from life in jail, the maximum sentence for the offense. Obviously, South Africa's empathy didn't lie with West African villagers fighting a losing battle against the government and oil multinationals. Besides, there appeared to be a willingness on the part of the ANC government, then headed by Jacob Zuma, to work with Nigeria to ensure Okah's conviction. The jailed militant thinks that corrupt inducements were a major incentive to the South African government, and the appearance of altruism is but a front. The award of an oil license in Nigeria to South African company SAC Oil, now Ifora Energy, counts among the benefits gained from prosecuting him there, Okah said. A former top official of the prosecuting authority is currently a director of the company, he alleged. In a September 2014 incident, a private jet owned by Nigerian Pentecostal preacher Ayo Oritsejafor was intercepted at a South African airport with close to $10 million. Nigerian officials said at the time that the money was meant to buy arms to fight the Islamist insurgency raging in the country's north. Okah said they were bribes meant for senior officials in the Zuma government. If it truly there was an intention to purchase arms, it would have been a transaction effected through the Nigerian Central Bank, and a responsible Nigerian government official would have been aboard that aircraft, said Okah. No government procures arms with cash carried around in suitcases. And besides, what